The fourth article says, "No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms."
Article 4, Right to freedom, slavery and servitude. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights addresses the right to freedom from slavery and servitude, marking a significant step toward eradicating practices that have plagued human history for centuries. In ancient times, the buying and selling of laborers were commonplace, with individuals being reduced to mere commodities in the slave trade. Bonded laborers and slaves were often forced into grueling work, their freedoms entirely stripped away. Emperors and wealthy landowners would purchase slaves to serve in various capacities, from household labor to soldiers trained for warfare. Female slaves, in particular, suffered not only from the harsh conditions of forced labor, but also from physical and sexual abuse, subjected to the whims of their masters for personal gratification. The horrors of slavery and the systematic exploitation of human beings for profit and power are well documented. These practices inflicted profound physical, emotional, and psychological trauma on countless individuals and their descendants. Recognizing the deep injustices and human suffering caused by slavery, Article 4 was established to abolish these abhorrent practices and to ensure that no person is subjected to such inhumane treatment. This article unequivocally states that slavery and the slave trade in all their forms are prohibited. It emphasizes that every individual has the right to work freely without coercion, and that no one should be forced to labor against their will. In the context of modern society, Article 4 extends beyond the traditional notion of slavery to include various forms of forced labor and human trafficking. It acknowledges that slavery can take many forms, including debt bondage, forced marriage, and the exploitation of children in labor and armed conflict. By prohibiting these practices, the article aims to protect the dignity and autonomy of every individual, ensuring that all people can choose their own paths without fear of coercion or exploitation. Furthermore, this article empowers individuals with the right to leave their employment if they choose, ensuring that work is performed voluntarily and not under duress. It reinforces the idea that labor should be a matter of personal choice and that everyone deserves fair treatment and respect in their working conditions. Governments and international organizations are called upon to enforce these principles, actively working to dismantle any remnants of slavery and servitude and to protect vulnerable populations from exploitation. In conclusion, Article 4 represents a powerful commitment to human dignity and freedom. It acknowledges the dark history of slavery and servitude and seeks to prevent such atrocities from occurring in the future. By asserting the right to freedom from slavery and servitude, this article not only condemns past injustices but also provides a foundation for a more just and equitable world where every individual can live and work freely without fear of exploitation or oppression.
The fifth article says, "No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment."
Article 5, Right to freedom from torture or degrading treatment. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights establishes the right to freedom from torture or degrading treatment, asserting that no individual should be subjected to physical or mental harm, nor treated in a cruel, inhumane, or humiliating manner. This article unequivocally prohibits any form of torture, which includes not only severe physical pain but also psychological torment and any actions that debase or degrade a person's dignity. The significance of this article is underscored by historical and contemporary instances where individuals have suffered immensely at the hands of those in power. Historically, landlords, capitalists, and various authorities have subjected workers and subordinates to severe punishments for mistakes or disobedience. These acts of violence and humiliation served as tools of control and oppression, stripping individuals of their dignity and humanity. For example, in feudal societies, landlords would often physically assault laborers for perceived inefficiencies or errors. Similarly, in the industrial age, capitalists sometimes resorted to brutal measures to discipline workers, perpetuating a cycle of fear and subjugation. In modern times, while overt physical torture may be less common in many parts of the world, the issue persists in different forms. Instances of employers hitting or verbally abusing their staff highlight ongoing problems of workplace violence and harassment. This article mandates that no one, regardless of their position or authority, has the right to inflict such cruelty. It extends to preventing mental torture, such as bullying, intimidation, and other forms of psychological abuse that can be equally damaging as physical violence. The implementation of Article 5 requires strict legal frameworks to ensure that those who engage in torture or degrading treatment are held accountable. Criminal laws in many countries now include provisions for punishing acts of cruelty with penalties ranging from fines to imprisonment. This legal accountability is crucial for protecting individuals from abuse and for reinforcing the principle that all people deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. For instance, if an employee makes a mistake at work, the appropriate response should be corrective and supportive rather than punitive and violent. Employers are encouraged to address issues through constructive feedback and, if necessary, termination rather than resorting to physical or verbal abuse. This approach not only aligns with the principles of Article 5 but also promotes a healthier, more productive working environment. Article 5 serves as a powerful deterrent against inhumane treatment and underscores the importance of compassion and respect in all human interactions. It reminds us that cruelty in any form is unacceptable and that everyone has the right to be free from torture and degrading treatment. Upholding this right is essential for fostering a just and humane society where every individual can live without fear of violence or humiliation. By recognizing and enforcing these principles, we move closer to a world where dignity and human rights are universally respected and protected.